What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the FF Ballbusters podcast. My name is Eric. That's Will. We're recording this on Wednesday, March 15th. So we're going to get into a little bit of a mock draft today. But first, Will, how you doing this morning?
Hey man, I'm feeling great, ready to get into another mock draft. Also wanted to make sure we reminded you guys about our sponsors we have recently. We've been
Yes.
partnered with Fantasy League Winners, a website where you guys can go for your fantasy football information, news, and just some cool articles. There's some great content creators over there, and we've just decided to join the team ourselves. And as a result of that, we're also partnered with Underdog Fantasy. So if you guys go to Underdog Fantasy and type in code FFLW, that'll get you 100% match on your deposit if you are a first-time user for Underdog Fantasy, up to $100. That is FFLW, or you can click the link down in the description below.
Yes, sir. And then also we have another promo code to shout out from our boy Zay. Some merch, some apparel that you guys can get into. His brand is Do Numbers. He does really cool hoodies, T-shirts, all sorts of stuff. So go check out his store. We'll have that link down in the description below. It's snacks.com, correct?
Snacks.online, yeah, pretty much.
Snacks.online.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that'll be linked down in the description, so you'll see it down there. And you can use promo code FFBallbusters15 to get 15% off your order on any of that stuff on the site. So go check that out. Go support us. Go support League Winners, and go support our boy Zay. So that'll do it for our little intro spiel. But yeah, like Will said, we're getting into a SuperFlex rookie mock draft today. It's going to be We're going to get into 3 rounds today, the longest mock draft that we've done so far. We're going to try to speed up the first couple so we can have time to get through. The format is going to be, like I said, super flex, 2 running backs, starting 3 wide receivers, tight end, and 2 flex, just in case you want the full scope of what we're getting into. But yeah, I think we're probably ready to kick things off. And Will, you're going to be right here at the 101.
Yeah, and at the 101, even after the combine, after seeing all the numbers, I don't think anything's changed. I still think Mr. Bijan Robinson is still the 101 this year, running back out of Texas, of course. Most well-rounded running back we've seen in a while. So, yeah, Bijan Robinson, 101.
Yep, no arguments there. I agree with you. I think, after the combine, there is some conversation for the guy that I'm going to take at the 102. But I'm certainly not going to argue with you taking Bijan. I think that makes a whole lot of sense. But yeah, with that being said, I'm going to go to the quarterback position to a high upside player in Anthony Richardson. If you want my full spiel, we went into that with our post combine kind of recap video. I talk in depth about why I think his upside is worth it and why his downside isn't really as bad as some people say that it might be. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty comfortable taking him at the 102 there.
Yep. And taking a look at the 103, we're going to stay with the quarterback position because remember, we're drafting for Superflex and quarterbacks are very valuable in these types of leagues. And I'm going with Mr. CJ Stroud. I feel like
Okay.
at this point, it's tough to be hyped for Bryce Young just because we haven't seen anything yet, and we've seen that C.J. Stroud is really good at the combine. So he's kind of leapfrogged Bryce Young a little bit for me. Not saying there's a huge difference between them, but value C.J. Stroud just a little bit more.
Yeah. Yep, I'm in agreement there. I've had CJ Stroud as I had him as my QB1, and now Anthony Richardson has kind of leapfrogged him. But yeah, still not too much of a difference between Stroud and Bryce Young, which is exactly why I'm going to take Bryce Young here. You see all these quarterbacks ripping off the board. It's what you got to do in Superflex, man. You got to take the value while it's there.
Yep. Did you pick Bryce Young right there, right?
Yep.
Cool, cool, cool.
Put him in at the 104.
And then at the 105, I'm actually looking at Jackson Smith-Njigba at the 105. He had a pretty impressive combine, if you ask me. I know he didn't run the 40, and people were looking forward to that. But in terms of his quickness and agility and the stuff that he was doing on those, yeah, he's off the charts. So I got a feeling he's going to be one of those guys that's here to stay. He's a really good route runner. I like Jackson Smith-Njigba at 105.
Yeah, I think we're doing this. This is exactly how I would do it. I think
Mm-hmm.
we're, in lockstep here. Jackson Smith-Njigba really impressed at the combine, like you said. So I love that pick. We'll go to the 106. And I think maybe after this is where it starts to get interesting. The top 6 is fairly locked in for me, and I think fairly consensus for a lot of people. I'm going to go Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back out of Alabama. Um, just super smooth. The only kind of worry that we have about him is size, coming in at 199, but blazing speed at 436, great receiver, total package there. So really happy to get him all the way down here at the 106.
I like that pick a lot, too. Taking a look at the 107, we're going to go back to quarterbacks. We're looking at Mr. Will Levis. He's one of those guys that, we don't really like him a whole lot as a prospect himself, but we do think he's going to land somewhere, and some team is going to give him a chance, probably for a lot longer than he deserves. So, Will Levis at the 107 is somebody I'm looking at right there.
Yeah, I like that pick, even though I think both of us aren't super high on him necessarily as a prospect. Again, in Superflex leagues, when a guy is going to get drafted in the first round and probably still within the top 10,
Hmm.
you can't let him fall that far. So, yeah, I like that pick at the 107. We get into the 108, and this is where it starts to get difficult for me. I could go, obviously not going back to the quarterback. Well, we've gotten through all four of the top guys there. I could look at the third ranked running back, my second ranked wide receiver. Probably not dipping into tight end yet, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Quentin Johnston here. I was debating between him and Charbonnet. I like both of those guys a lot, but I tend to lean wide receiver as kind of the deciding factor when I feel like two guys are really close, just because they have a longer shelf life in Dynasty, and I think that Quentin Johnston's upside is just through the roof.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Quentin Johnston, he's one of those guys who's probably going to be pretty good in the league, honestly. The more I kind of doubt him, I doubted him at first, but then taking a look at the actual tape and the metrics, he's doing really well.
Yeah,
And at the 109, I'm going to go with Mr. Zach Charbonnet. I know Eric passed up on him on the last one. Like you said, it's close, but he's just one of those guys that I do feel like is going to land on the team. He's going to get an opportunity early. And he ran his 40-yard dash faster than I thought he would as well. So a little bit of upside there as well to be found.
for sure, for sure. All right, so we've been blazing through this. We've been going really fast. We're doing it on purpose because we want to get to 3 rounds, like we said at the top. Also, I feel like up to this point, it's been fairly consensus. From here on out, we're kind of uncharted waters, especially post combine with the rankings kind of shaken up after that.
Hmm.
So we're not going to go too slow, but we'll probably slow it down just a little bit. I need to try to decide who I'm going to take here at the 110. I think I'm probably going to lean receiver once again, although there is a good kind of tier of running backs that's still available. But I'm going to dip back into the receiver pool, and I think I'm actually going to take Zay Flowers here
Okay.
um, over Jordan Addison. Where there he is, Zay Flowers. After Addison's performance at the combine, it wasn't a terrible performance necessarily, but mostly him weighing in at 173 scared me off a little bit. Flowers and Addison were already pretty close for me, and just I thought Flowers impressed. I really like his tape. I don't know. It's splitting hairs. It's really, really close, but I'll go Zay Flowers here.
Yeah, and with that being said, I'm going to go Jordan Addison with the
Yeah.
111. Uh, he's just one of those guys we thought coming into the league, he's going to be one of those guys who's the most polished coming in. And he ran a little bit slower than we were expecting. And it was a little disappointing, which is why he's fallen as much as he has. But I still think he's one of those guys that can come into the league and make an impact early. So Jordan Addison's definitely on the radar right there.
For sure. Yeah, I like that pick at the 111. We get to the last pick in the first round here. Again, I'm struggling with my decision. I got some wide receivers in the same tier. I could go back to the running backs. I think I think I'll stick with the wide receiver pool here. Another tough decision for me. As you guys know, I'm really high on Marvin, but I don't know that I'm quite ready to put him over a guy like Josh Downs yet. So I'm going to take him at the 112. Just a fantastic production profile in college every year that he played. Super smooth route runner. Plays bigger than I think his size would indicate. Just a really clean profile. So I like him a lot there.
I like that too. I like that pick a lot. I'm going to definitely shake some things up with this next pick at the
Okay.
201. I'm actually looking at Rasheed Rice here.
Ooh,
Yeah,
okay.
he's somebody that I've had my eyes on for a lot of this, scouting process, and he's somebody who actually impressed me a lot at the combine as well. He ran a faster 40 than I thought he would. His vertical jump was one of the highest out of all the receivers. I think it was tied for the highest of all the wide receivers there.
I think you're right.
And he's one of those guys who he's maybe not the biggest athlete out there on the field, but he's one of the smarter players. He's got a good football IQ. I like Rasheed Rice a lot, and I hope he lands somewhere good.
Yeah, I like that. It's bold.
Hmm.
You've been high on Rasheed Rice this whole time. If you guys have been following, he's been our resident Rasheed Rice
Hmm.
truther, and I like it. He did perform really well at the combine. I liked what he did. He rose up my rankings a little bit, But yeah, we'll see how that one pans out. We'll go to the 2-2. And again, I'm deciding between running back and wide receiver. Maybe like at this point, I think it's not a terrible idea to start considering the tight end, although it's not tight end premium, so it's kind of debatable. Um, I might just do that. I might just do that. I'm gonna go with Dalton Kincaid here actually.
Okay, I like that.
He's moved up into my tight end one position. There he is. Over Michael Mayer. They're still in the same tier for me, but athletically, it's just not even really close. Kincaid is damn near a wide receiver out there with the way that he moves, how good his footwork is. He's got pretty good speed as well, um, and I think he's still got a lot of room left to grow. He's only been playing football since his senior year in high school, so he's still kind of developing and learning the game, and he's already one of the best tight ends in college football.
Hell yeah, I like that pick a lot. Next up at the 203, I'm actually looking at Mr. Devin A. Chain at the
Okay.
running back position. One of those guys came out and impressed at the combine. Kind of did everything he was supposed to do at the combine, to be honest with you. So it didn't knock him down in my rankings at all. And he's one of those guys who's really underrated in between the tackles. And a lot of the running back landscape in the NFL right now is getting shaken up. So it'd be interesting to see where he ends up landing at because I think he could make a big impact to whatever team he lands at.
Yeah, and I think that that's a really important note. I think landing spot is going to be pretty important for him. He's incredibly electric. He's got track speed. I think he's an underrated in between the tackles runner. He's
Hmm.
really smart, and even though he is undersized at 188 pounds, he can get it done in between the tackles. He's just got to go to a place where they're going to give him that opportunity.
Yeah.
So I like that at the 203. We go to the 204. I think I'm also going to go running back here. And I'm going to go with my next guy on the list in Kendre Miller. Um, really like his kind of size speed combo. He did come in at 215 at the combine, but my guess is that he was probably cutting a little bit of weight to try to um, perform better. But he was also dealing with an injury, so it's debatable whether that weight is what he played at. I think he's probably closer to 220, but he's got good speed. I think he's got good agility, decent amount of pass catching ability as well. Just a really well-rounded running back, and I think somebody who it doesn't matter as much what his landing spot is going to be. I think he'll get the good opportunity no matter where he goes,
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Kendre Miller's definitely been on my radar, and I think if you get him at this point in the draft, you got a really good value for a really good player.
for sure.
Looking at the 205 is somebody that I guarantee Eric's probably been eyeing a little bit too, but he didn't really quite want to say his name. I'm going to go with Mr. Jalen Hyatt, wide receiver out of Tennessee.
Mm.
I think that if you were to get him at this late in the draft, the 205, I know it's not really that late, but if you were to get him this late in the draft, I feel like it will be a good value. He's one of those guys who's going to get the draft capital. He's got the talent. He actually performed better at the combine than I thought he would. Not quite in the speed category, but in everything else. But yeah, I like Jalen Hyatt, especially right here at the 205.
Yeah, you mentioned it. He's definitely somebody that's on my radar. I'm not as high on him as I've said a bunch of times before,
Hmm.
but I think the draft capital is going to make it so you have to take him in the early to mid second round. So yeah, I like that value there at the 205.
Yeah.
Um, at the one or at the 206, excuse me. I'm finally going to pull the trigger on a guy that I have been looking at really since the 112, just haven't gotten myself to do it, and that's Mr. Marvin Mims
Hmm.
out of Oklahoma. Another fantastic production profile. Came in and weighed in a little bit heavier than I expected at 183 at the combine, 5'11, blazing speed with what a 4.38 at the combine. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, even faster than I expected him to be. He's a great deep ball receiver. I think his yards per reception was like over 20 throughout his career, which is a ridiculous number. And I also think he's just well rounded in his ability to run routes and separate all across the field. So I love him there at the 206.
No, I like that pick too. Marvin Mims has been moving up my draft board, and obviously, like you said, he had a great combine, so I'm excited to see where he lands at.
Yes, sir.
Taking a look at the 207, we're going to actually go back to the tight end position. I'm looking at Mr. Michael Mayer right here.
I like
Um,
it.
Unfortunately, he's really slow. I sort of, you know, I had compared him to Jason Witten because Jason Witten's the first tight end I think of when I think of slow tight ends, and this guy actually ran a slower 40 than Jason Witten. So It's not the most encouraging thing ever, but when in terms of his production, in terms of the other skills he has, catching the ball, doing all that, he can do everything. It's just a matter of him getting open and out muscling some other, smaller defenders, which I think he can do. So Michael Mayer's still up there for me.
Yep. I would have made the same pick there at the 207.
Hmm.
And to give a little bit more credit to Jason Witten, when like we all think of end of career Jason Witten, like old man, broken down Jason Witten. He was a
Hmm.
pretty damn good athlete coming into the NFL when he ran his combine. So it's not the worst thing to be slower than Witten as a rookie. But yeah, if he had been slower than him as a vet, it would have been a different story.
Yeah.
So I'm up at the 208. I have some decisions to make. I think I'll probably go back to the running back pool here. Go with a guy that I think we both like as a player, but has definitely been sliding down both of our draft boards and certainly consensus draft boards as well. And that's going to be Zach Evans
Hmm.
out of Ole Miss. I still believe in the talent. I still think that he's, a really shifty runner. I think he avoids contact really well. I think he's got better vision than people want to give him credit for, even though it can be inconsistent at times. I've watched the tape. He is plenty decisive when he needs to be. He's got the speed, and I think the weigh-in at the combine is a little bit misleading. He's another guy that I would imagine was probably cutting weight to try to improve his times in the drills, and
Hmm.
then got injured in the process. And so he weighed in at 202, even though I think he's probably closer to 210, maybe even 215. So we'll see what he weighs in at and what he runs come pro day time for him.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what actual numbers he ends up putting up. I hope he's healthy soon as well. So
Yeah,
Zach Evans, get better soon so we can see what you can do out there.
for sure.
And taking a look at the 209, I'm going to stay with the running back group. I'm actually going to go with Tank Bigsby here.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
I just, first off, name value alone. But if we're getting past that, I do think he is a guy who's a little bit underrated going into the draft. Well, not so much underrated. He's been sliding down some people's boards because he isn't as explosive, as good of a player as people thought he was. But I think depending on the landing spot that he lands at, I think he could still make an impact in the league. He's a great runner, still a strong runner as well. So yeah, I do like Tank Bigsby still, even though he's been sliding a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah, I worry um, not about his talent, not about his ability, but sometimes the decision making as a
Hmm.
runner. He's really athletic. He's a big dude. He's a strong guy that can fight through contact, but sometimes he tends to just dance seemingly, I don't know, for no reason, unnecessarily when he doesn't have to. So I
Hmm.
think that's part of the reason why he's sliding. But yes, if he can put the mental side of the game, in his favor, I think he can be a fantastic running back in the league.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so good pick at the 209. I think I might just keep ripping off these running backs. There's a lot of guys in this kind of same tier that I like here. Yeah, I think I am going to stick there, and I'm going to go with Roshan Johnson. Um, there he is. Oop, come on. Let me put him on the board, please.
Hmm.
There it is. Sorry
There
for
you
the
go.
delay.
All good.
Um, but yeah, Roshan, another kind of all-arounder type guy. He's got decent hands, but he's a big physical runner. I think he's a little bit more elusive than people want to give him credit for. He's certainly not a burner by any means, but he's got plenty of speed for the size that he plays at. And a comp that we had talked about last week and in the post combine recap is Chris Carson. I think he reminds me a lot of Chris Carson. Just an all around solid runner that's going to make an impact in the league and probably stick around for quite some time. So I'm going to take him here at the 210.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. At the 211, I'm going back to the wide receiver pool. I'm actually looking at Mr. Cedric Tillman out of
Love it.
Tennessee. Yeah.
I love it.
6'3", 215, ran a 4.5. Yeah, ran a 4.5. He's just one of those guys I feel like could go out there and he could really just perform when he gets out there on the field. He was able to, perform when he was at Tennessee as well, alongside Jalen Hyatt, so still was able to be productive alongside another, top end wide receiver. So that's always a good news. And I just really like him as a prospect himself. So you're just hoping that, I know he had some injury issues his senior year, but we're not looking at that as indicative towards his NFL career whatsoever.
Yeah. I was debating between him and Roshan at the 210. Tillman's been rising up my draft boards and my rankings for sure as of late. I actually, if we're just talking totally in a vacuum without any sort of prediction on draft capital or anything like that, I'd probably have Tillman over Hyatt in my rankings. I think he's a much more well rounded receiver. And really, until last year, prior to his injury
Hmm.
issues, he was the wide receiver one for that team. Um, so yeah, I love that pick at the 211. I think he's a fantastic value all the way at the back end of the second round.
Hell yeah.
So you took him from me, and now I got to figure out who to take here with the last pick of the second round. Um, yeah, there's still a lot of running backs that I like, so I think I'm probably going to dive right back into that. Um, I'm going to go with Tyjae Spears here.
Okay.
It was between him and Sean Tucker for me. I like both of those guys, but I think Tyjae is just a little bit more dynamic of a runner. I think Well, I don't want to get too much into Sean Tucker because he's still available. But Tyjae Spears specifically, super shifty, great in the open field. I think he's got pretty good instincts behind the line of scrimmage as well in his decision making. Pretty good receiver, and yeah, just electric once you put the ball in his hands. So at the 212, I can't ask for much more than that.
Yeah, I like that too. I think Tyjae Spears has definitely been rising up my boards ever since you brought him to me and you showed him me, and I've been seeing more and more clips and more highlights. He's just, yeah, he's pretty good out there. Very
For
shifty
sure.
as well.
Look great next to all the other running back prospects at the combine too.
Yeah, so that's always good to see.
Yeah.
And then at the 301, I'm gonna go with Mr. Sean Tucker right there.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where he's a good enough, well-rounded back, and also he's good at pass protection. It's something I've seen. He's also been very alert. That's something that's going to help keep him on the field if that can translate over at the NFL level. And yeah, that's pretty much all I really got to say about Sean Tucker. He's a well-rounded runner, and he's good at pass protection. Hopefully that translates over.
Yep. No, I like Sean Tucker a lot there. He's got that breakaway speed with
Hmm.
decent size to boot. So yeah, it's a good combo. Here at the 3-2, what am I gonna do? This one's tough. I'm considering players from all of the different positions at this point, but I think we'll continue with the running backs. I just feel the most comfortable with this group. And another guy that really, really impressed at the combine in Chase Brown. Um, he had a fantastic showing with, I believe, what was it, a 4.43 40. Weighed in at a good weight above 205. We weren't sure if he was going to be above that mark, and he was able to surpass that. I think he had a really, really good college career, college production profile. Handled a ton of work, so we know that he's capable of being a workhorse back if given the opportunity. And yeah, I think he's just a well-rounded guy and kind of a safe pick here at the 3-2.
Yeah, I do like that. Taking a look at the 303, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the trigger on it. I'm looking at Mr. Darnell Washington. He's
Okay.
he's one of those guys. If you guys have been watching any of our videos, I'm not super high on him, but still, he's a third round pick right here, so it's like still getting some pretty good value out of him. He's 6'7". He ran a 4.6, ran a 4.64, I believe, right? Or 4.67?
Yes.
Yeah, 4.64.
4.64.
Okay,
Yep.
and it's just, yeah, he's gigantic. He's going to be on the field because he can block. It's just a matter of if they actually throw him the ball or not. And we don't really know if he's going to be like a receiver in the league because he's got 45 career catches in college, which isn't great. Not a great
Yeah.
indicator at all. But you're hoping that his involvement with the team and his ability to stay on the field, maybe a team will be able to cultivate some receiving skills out of him. But, it's kind of one of those guys that you want to take a chance on at least to see what could happen, especially at this point in a rookie draft.
I have zero issues with that. We're both probably a little bit lower than consensus on him, but I mean, the upside is ridiculous.
Hmm.
It's hard to pass on that in the third round. I'm gonna go with maybe a surprise here. I think he's been starting to get a little bit of buzz around him, especially with his performance at the combine. A guy I've had my eye on in A.T. Perry out of Wake
Mm.
Forest, wide receiver. In case you didn't know, he is just a really, really smooth receiver, especially for his size at 6'3" and a half, 200 pounds. He's a technician out there. Like he's always got a plan when it comes to his routes. It seems like I watched him do an interview with my guy Brett Coleman. I say my guy, just we don't know each other, but I really enjoy his content. I think he's a fantastic resource. So go check him out on YouTube as well. But he sat down with him at the Shrine Bowl, I believe, and just kind of picked his brain about the way that he runs routes, the way that he sets things up with his quarterback, and reads defensive backs, safeties, corners, all that stuff. He's just a cerebral guy, always has a plan, and showed at the combine that he's also a freak athlete. At 6'3.5", running a 4.47, you love to see that.
Hell yeah. Taking a look at the 305 now. I'm gonna go with probably what's a more bold pick. I'm staying with the wide receivers. I'm going with Rakim Jarrett,
Okay, no,
out
I
of
like it.
Maryland. He ran a 4.44 angel numbers, and he's just one of those guys that's a slot receiver. The biggest knock that I have towards Rakim Jarrett is that he's not a very polished receiver in itself. He's not really one of those guys who's going to make the great move, run a great route, but he has all the athletic tools to be able to do so. So if he were to able to work on that at the next level, and some team were able to get that to cultivate a little bit more, I think Rakim Jarrett could be a pretty good slot receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, no, I like that pick a lot. I think he's got a lot of upside. Coming into college, he was a 5-star recruit, wasn't he?
Absolutely, he was. Yeah.
Yeah, he was really highly touted, highly recruited. He's got all the athleticism in the world. It's just whether or not he can put it together. So I like that pick, the 305. Going to the 3.6, I think I'm going to go back to the tight end landscape. And is he's so far down in sleepers rankings. That's weird. I'm going to take Sam Laporta.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Let me find, there he is. Um, Similar to Michael Mayer as far as production profile, at least comparatively speaking to a lot of the other tight ends in this class, where we're banking more so on just raw athleticism than production. Laporta, I think, has both. Did really, really well in all 4 years at Iowa, and also tested athletically well at the combine. He can block if you need him to. He's a beast in the open fields. I don't want to make the comparison because it's crazy to comp anybody to George Kittle, but same jersey from Iowa, similar kind of just crazy tough running in the open field. I'm not saying he is George Kittle, but similar kind of style once he gets the ball in his hands.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that pick. I've been high on Sam Laporta throughout the process as well. And yeah, I just love an Iowa. You love an Iowa tight end, honestly. They've been
Yeah.
doing that's tight end university over there.
Yes, sir.
And taking a look at the 307, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm not happy about it. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna take Mr. Kayshawn Butte here at the
Oh, he did
307.
it. Okay. Let's hear it.
Somebody that we thought was, one of the best wide receivers in this class. He was in like that second tier for us up until the combine where he absolutely laid an egg.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what to make out of this one. You're hoping that that's just a fluke, but at the same time, it's not really looking like it was a fluke. But I don't know. I really don't. When it comes to one of like the ceiling for this guy, if he gets anywhere close to where he was in college and at the beginning of his college career, you got an absolute steal at this point in the draft. But if he doesn't, he's just the guy that we saw at the combine. It's not great. It's just we have no idea what we're gonna get. We have no idea what his ankle injury was that he sustained in college. We sort of speculate it may have had something to do with his Achilles. We don't really know for sure, so don't take that as fact. But I don't know, with that performance at the combine and just him disappointing as much as he did, something major must have happened. But I don't know. Maybe he just ate too much popcorn that day.
Maybe it was another sex party like right before the combine. Who knows?
Or not enough sex parties right before the combine.
Or
Who knows?
you see, somebody's thinking over there.
Yeah, you see.
No, he's a time bomb. I wasn't sure where to take him. I still like I said in our recap video of the combine, he's not completely off my draft board. I don't know where to take him,
This
but I don't mind it here at the 307 at all.
this might have still been too high. Who knows?
Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. All right, I'm up at the 308. I'm going to dip back into the running back pool. I'm going to go with Izzy Abanikanda here.
Mhm.
I so I had been doing some of my own research and looking into his tape and stuff like that, and then I also came across Noah Moore Parties, one of my favorite people to go to for running back rankings and analysis on running backs specifically. Go check him out. He just put out a video on Izzy Abanikanda on BDGE's channel, and I thought it was fantastic. It kind of encapsulated all of what I thought of him and more. Really fast, good size, but not super decisive behind the line of scrimmage. Not great as far as like picking up 3 or 4 yards when you need it, but great like after he gets to the second level at turning that into big plays. So he's not going to be a consistent runner. He's not going to be somebody you count on in short yardage situations necessarily. But he's going to be the home run hitter, and I don't mind that one bit at the 308.
No, I like that too. Izzy's been rising up my boards a little bit as well, especially since you brought him to my attention. But taking a look at the 309, I'm gonna go back to the quarterback pool. I'm gonna go with Hendon Hooker
Oh,
here.
yeah,
Yeah, I just feel like he's one of those guys. He's gonna get drafted somewhere. He's gonna end up getting some sort of a chance. I don't know if he's gonna start wherever it is he lands at, but at the very least, in Superflex, it's never a bad thing to have quarterbacks, and he's somebody who, if he gets an opportunity, could do something with it. Don't know what, but he could do something.
if I'm being honest with myself, that's going to be the one post draft, like post NFL draft,
Hmm.
that we're going to be like, how did we let him go that late? I think he's going to get drafted probably in the second round. And if you get a quarterback drafted in the second round, especially if he goes like in the top 40 or 50 picks, he should probably be in the second round of most people's super flex mock drafts or actual rookie drafts, right?
Absolutely. I think honestly, if he falls to this point in the draft, you'd have to take him at that point. You kind of
For
have
sure.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, I had kind of forgotten about him. So thank you for putting him
Hmm.
on people's radars because I think that's really important.
No problem.
Where am I gonna go at the 310? I think there's still some wide receivers that I like, but they're all kind of in the same tier for me, and so it's hard for me to pick one over the other. I'll probably just go back to the running back pool, and actually, yeah, I'm confident about this because I like this guy a lot. Evan Hull. I gotta find him because he's ranked too low for sleeper. There he is. Another guy that's actually one of Noah Moore Party's favorite running backs in this class. He's really athletic, showed that at the combine. He tested a lot better than I expected him to. I think he ran a 4.47 at like 209 pounds. So came in at a decent weight. He played out of Northwestern. If you haven't seen him, go check him out. He's an incredible receiving back. Um, oh, Probably as far as just sheer production, I think he's probably right behind like Jameer Gibbs and Deuce Vaughn as far as receiving production from the running back position in all of college football. He was fantastic. He had a game where he went over 200 yards receiving. So he's super dynamic in that category. And I think he actually does have the size and athleticism to be maybe not a workhorse back, but probably the 1A if given the opportunity. And so I really like him all the way down here at almost the end of the third round.
Nah, I like that a lot too. And the next pick I'm going for at the 311, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna go with Kenny McIntosh.
Okay.
So he's somebody who I feel like he did not perform very well at the combine. I'm sure Eric also mirrors that sentiment. So he has fallen down my rankings quite a bit in terms of the running backs, but I do feel like he does have enough tools in the toolbox to at least be a decent football player. He's good receiving. He's good at receiving. He's not a bad runner, but at the same time, he just doesn't really have the athletic metrics we would have hoped to see out of him at the combine, which is why he's fallen to this late. But I do think that depending on the landing spot that he falls at, he could still make an impact on whatever team he ends up at.
No, 100%. I think you're spot on there. He's definitely fallen down, fantasy boards. I think he's probably fallen down a little bit in NFL boards, but he's still going to get decent draft capital. Good enough size, great receiving ability. He'll find a place somewhere.
Hmm.
Um, and then with the last pick in this mock draft, 312, I'm kind of torn. Um, between Dwayne McBride, who I really like as a runner out of UAB, and Parker Washington, the wide receiver out of Penn State. I like both of these guys a lot. And I think this goes to show how deep of a class this is. Once you get past kind of the first or the top six, it might not be like top shelf guys, but there's just a ton of really solid players all the way down, even into the fourth round of this class. So stock up on second round and third round picks if you're able to. But I think I'm going to go with Dwayne McBride here, like I said, out of UAB. Maybe one of the best, like, pure runners in this class. And, like, you can argue, depending on your definition of pure runner, but just strictly, like, instincts, ability to, decision make behind the line of scrimmage, hit the right holes, and just pick up the yards that you need him to. I think he's fantastic in that category. pretty much a zero as a receiver. He's not going to be catching passes, so he's going to be have to be in a committee with somebody like a third down back or a scat back. But yeah, if he can get the first and second down role on a team, he's going to produce in the NFL, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
So that will do it. We were able to get through all 3 rounds. Hopefully, that was a super long video. I think we managed to get through it in a decent amount of time. But thank you for sticking with us. Hope you guys enjoyed. Do all that great YouTube stuff. If you liked the video, please leave the like. If you want to see more content from us in the future, hit that subscribe button. All that good stuff. I don't have a ton more to add. Do you want to get back into our sponsorships and then we can wrap this thing up?
Yeah, make sure you guys check out those links down in the description below. You guys can check out the fantasy league winners. That way, you guys can see some other great content creators, other great fantasy football content creators. And you can also check us out. Use our promo code FFLW on Underdog Fantasy to match your $100 deposit if you're a first-time user. And also our code FFBallbusters15 to get yourself 15% off at Do Numbers, which is snacks.online. But that link will be down in the description below. Also, make sure you guys are dropping comments and stuff like that. We love the
Yeah.
interactions. We love the engagement. If you guys have any video ideas for us as well, if you guys want to give us any type of ideas for videos, let us know what you want to see because we will make that for you. But with that being said, if you guys made it this far into the video, thank you for watching, and we love you, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.